Hey guys, and welcome to my vlog. My name is Erin and I'm a writer. I'm working on several fantasy pieces, and so I started this world building vlog series to kind of go over some of the things that I've had to think about while creating my fantasy worlds. So today's topic is entertainment. What the heck are your people doing to stop them from going squirrely with boredom? Now, entertainment covers a lot of things. You got sports, games, music, art, theater, etc. You don't have to include them all in your story, but there should be at least one thing that people do to pass the time. Entertainment is a really important part of culture, and it can offer some clear insights into what the society deems valuable. Ordinarily, you're just going to choose one or two that are relevant to your characters in some way. And that's not to say that you can't focus on more, but you really want to develop and hone the things that you're going to focus on. A good example of using entertainment to show what society values is the gladiatorial games, because it's a blood sport and people are dying. They are fighting for the entertainment of the crowd and paying with their lives. If people are fighting to the death for entertainment, then that gives you a pretty good idea of how human life is valued in that society. Or specifically the value of very specific human lives, what groups are involved in these types of games. Whether your character would be part of the games, observing them, running them, etc., you gain an understanding of the culture and your characters. Once you figured out which type of entertainment you want to focus on in your story, you get into the nitty-gritty of how it works. Is there going to be formal training for your entertainers? A lot of people, singers, artists, dancers, etc., require years of training before they're proficient at their craft, just like every skill. Is training mandatory, or if someone has a natural skill, are they just allowed to start performing? If someone does want to learn a sport or an art, what are the steps involved in getting them there? Can anyone participate, or are they highly restricted based on who can enter this training and performance? Another good aspect is figuring out if any of them are illegal, and if so, what aspects of them are illegal. Things like gambling, blood sports, animal fighting, that kind of stuff is usually what would be illegal in these cases. But it really depends on what your society is focusing on. In some cases, if a performance is too risque, it might be banned. If a performance is too violent, if a sport has too many deaths, if it displeases the general population or a specific group, then all of those things can influence the legality of the sport or art. Is access to any forms of entertainment restricted based on age, class, gender, etc.? And is being an entertainer through whatever avenue an actual desirable thing for people? Is this what they want to do? Does it produce a viable living? Is it a practical option for your characters to pursue? Depending on the technology levels of the world you've created, you can also introduce things like radio or film. And there's also magic to consider. At this point in the vlogs, we've already covered magic. So if you are integrating magic into your world, then at this point you'll know how it works, and if you can use magic itself as a form of entertainment, or if you can use it as a means to capture entertainment for later consumption, like we do with film. There are numerous possibilities with this, such as making copies of artistic works, capturing voices for later listening, magical enhancement for sports, such as you see with Quidditch, where you have flying brooms and magic balls. There's all sorts of things that you can integrate with magic to enhance the different forms of art and sport. How are physical sports viewed in your society? Obviously, in a lot of cultures today, physical sports such as football, soccer, hockey, the people who are in the big leagues of those are revered. Does that transfer over to your world? Are they celebrities? What sports are most common in your society in terms of general entertainment? What games do people play? If you're using or creating one, make sure you understand the basic rules. Unless you're just mentioning it by name and kind of assume people know what's going on. But at the very least, you do have to know what equipment is being used, whether it's dice, cards, whatever. Know the basics if you're having it in your story. In terms of music, how popular is it in your world? Are there different styles that are more popular or preferred by people? Who has access to it? Is it strictly live performances? Or do people have access to a replayed version? What instruments exist and how accessible are they to learn and own? In terms of visual art, you're going to want to know what's most popular, what's most valued by your society, if one in particular is above others. In this regard, you're going to have things like painting, sculpture, architectural design, etc. Even fashion applies to this. If someone wants to learn to be an artist of any variety, how do they access the skills and the supplies necessary for it? Are there any aspects of the cultures you've developed that dislike visual art? There are examples in history where people banned color on either all the time or on specific days, and other cultures highly celebrate the use of color. In terms of performing arts, is there an infrastructure to support it? You're going to need stages and props and everything that goes into making a big production happen. What varieties are available in your world? What types of dance, what types of theater, which are celebrated and which are condemned? An example of this would be, say, ballet versus burlesque or pole dancing if you have a very conservative society. And you don't have to have any of these be condemned or celebrated or whatever. If they're existing in your world, just be aware of the societal context and how they might be viewed. Arts and entertainment are everywhere in the world. If your characters are directly involved in them compared to being strictly a consumer, then they're going to have a very different perspective on them than the average person. What is the day-to-day life of a person who is a part of these entertainment circuits? Is it organized into guilds or any sort of formal body? Are they respected for their involvement? Are they exploited? How regimented are things like practice, diet, clothing, and performances? And what is their income like compared to the average person? Usually throughout history, artists were reliant on a patron as their source of income to pursue their craft. So you're going to want to figure out, is this a thing people can use to actually properly support themselves, or are they always going to be reliant on someone else? So I hope that gives you a good start on figuring out the entertainment in your fantasy worlds. Just think about what you do for fun. If you want to look through history and figure out what people did for fun in areas that are similar in climate and geography to what you've developed, then that can give you a lot of really good ideas in how to set up your entertainment within your culture. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will have another vlog for you next Wednesday. All my social media links are down below. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!